Hello everybody, welcome again. It's just after Halloween here on the Aran Islands. We had a fairly quiet one because of a storm. But other than that, it's lovely today, a few days later with the sun shining, an odd shower. Quite cold, feeling of winter around all right, and of course the clocks have gone back, so we're getting up later in the morning and it's darker in the afternoon. Anyway, today I'd like to speak to you about faith. And that word faith, which when I was growing up, it meant belief in God, belief in all the things that the creed said, which we recited every Sunday at Mass, and the act of faith which you learnt off by heart, and which you were told, if you ever met anybody who was dying, to whisper it into their ear. So it was like what you believed was what would save you and what would get you into heaven. And looking back at the gospel, which was what really attracted me into religion and into spirituality, just the example and the teachings of Jesus, looking back at that, I often wondered about, was that what Jesus really meant? Because he often spoke about faith. But he never sort of laid down that you had to believe in anything in particular. One could assume maybe that people had to believe in him. I suppose if they wanted him to work a miracle, they'd have had to believe in him. But exactly what they believed about him is another thing. I mean, if you read St. Paul in his letters, he insists that you have to believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that if you don't believe that, you won't be saved. But I'm not sure that Jesus was insistent on you believing in anything about him. And when he did work miracles with people who appeared to have faith in him, he said to them, "Your faith has made you well. Your faith has healed you." So it was more to do with how they believed that made the difference, rather than anything he did. And I'd say that's where I'm coming from now in my own understanding of faith. For me, faith is something that a person with religious faith or not can have. It's not specific to religion. Faith, in a way, is an attitude to life. I have a daughter, Maka, who at the age of 18, when she'd just finished school, decided to go off to India and study to be a yoga teacher. And that meant a fairly hairy journey all on her own, first to London and then to Delhi, and then another sort of a rickety flight out to where she was going to be for a month, and then to find her own way back again. That required faith on her part. Just faith in herself, a belief in life that it would mind her and look after her and keep her safe. And us, the poor parents, had to have that same faith, that we could trust her and trust in the universe, if you like, to be kind to her and to mind her. And indeed it was. She came home safely. So that to me really is my understanding of faith nowadays. It's a belief, yes, but not necessarily a belief in something in particular. And certainly I wouldn't be at all insistent that one must believe in Jesus, or that one must believe in Jesus as the Son of God, even more precisely. So that's where I'd be thinking about faith in a very different way to the way I think religion has approached it. So religion is very clear that your faith is your belief in the teachings of the church, and that that's going to get you salvation. Whereas my approach to faith is that faith is something, if I have it, as Jesus said, that it's liberating, it's empowering. It allows me to get out there and do things that maybe I wouldn't have the confidence otherwise to do. Faith is a sort of a confidence in oneself, or maybe it's a confidence in somebody else, like you'll have faith in somebody. You'll have faith in your child as they go off to India, or you have your faith in somebody to play a good football match, or whatever it is. It's a belief. When I was growing up, the Monkees were singing a very well-known song called I'm a Believer. And that's more or less it. I think that song was repeated in the film Shrek, so some of you might remember it. I'm a believer, and it's I'm a believer, full stop. Not I'm a believer in anything in particular. I'm a believer. And it upsets me that many of the teachings of Jesus seem to have been twisted and turned on their head and turned upside down and made to be what it seems to me he clearly didn't want them to be. I think Jesus basic message was to liberate people, to help people to shake off the shackles of the institutional church of the time, which was Judaism, to learn how to be free in themselves, to learn how to trust in life, to not live out of fear. He was that sort of a character, and that was his teaching. It was a liberating teaching, and he encouraged us to believe that we could move mountains. He encouraged us to believe that we could say to that mulberry tree over there, get up and throw it into the sea. You know, he encouraged us to believe in whatever we wanted to believe and to go for it and to do it. And that's my understanding of faith now. So in a way, it has very little to do with religion at all. I think St. Paul was right when he said that the most important things to have in your life are faith, hope and love. But I wouldn't interpret faith the way he did, in that narrow, confining, exclusive sense that if you don't have it, you don't get salvation. I certainly wouldn't subscribe to that anymore. So I hope that at least gets you thinking, and you're welcome to correspond, of course, and to turn this into a conversation and a discussion rather than simply me spouting out in one direction only. So please do get back to me by email, and let's continue the conversation. See you next time.